We have yet another celebrity who joins the list of celebs with trans and non-binary children, and this time it is comedian Rosie O Donnell, who apparently has a non-binary daughter who became non-binary apparently at 10 years old. And we'll get into the list of other celebrities that have children that identify as trans and non-binary. But first, let's hear from Rosie O'Donnell, who did a recent interview at the Comedy Store where she spoke about her child. Let's hear it.
Their gender, well, they said to me, Mommy, there are some kids in my class who don't even know their gender. So like an idiot, I say, tell them next time they're in the bathtub to look down. If it's a hot dog, they're a boy, and if it's not, they're a girl.
Which?
Then she says,
yeah.
They say, Mommy, that's
Oh, let's hear
their
it.
sex. That's binary. I'm talking about their gender, and gender is infinite. Gender is infinite. Where does a 10-year-old get those words?
Do you have any idea?
I have
Is
no
there someone
idea.
in their life that?
No. And I said to her, where did you find that? Where did you say? She said, some things I just know. Their gender.
Okay, so there's the clip there. You see she's struggling with the pronouns a bit, probably because they don't make sense to refer to somebody as they, them. But the hubris, the audacity of a child to say there are some things I just know, as if in the mind of a 10-year-old it suddenly popped into thought that gender is infinite, and somebody did not throw that ideology at you and maybe prime you to believe something like that. Of course, that's not the case. But I can understand a child coming forward to mom and saying there are some things I just know, and having that audacity as a child. We all were there. We all wanted to be independent and have our own unique thoughts, and we probably had parents that gave us their thoughts, as that's what parents do. They guide you through the world, and we wanted to assert our independence a little bit and say, well, Mom, there are things that I know that you don't know, and isn't it obvious that gender is infinite and that it's not a binary and that it's not just male and female, and in fact, even I am non-binary, Mom. But as a parent, it's your job to identify when your child has outside influences that may be negatively impacting them. And it doesn't seem like Rosie O'Donnell has done that. In fact, she took her child at their word that I just know that gender is somehow infinite. Have you ever had a child come to you and say gender is infinite or anything near that whatsoever? It's like those posts that you see on Twitter where it's like, my 3-year-old walked up to me today and told me it's so cool, Mommy, that you have guns in the household and that you support the Second Amendment, for I know that is in the foundation of American history. It's like, no, your child didn't say that. You are forcing your ideology on your kid, and it may not be Rosie O'Donnell who's doing that. Maybe her child learned it at school. Maybe they learned it on TikTok. Maybe they're watching, one of Disney's new shows or Nickelodeon's or Cartoon Network's new shows where people are being referred to as they, them in every other episode. And we're talking about non-binary identities and having pride parades in Blue's Clues. But I can guarantee your child, your 10-year-old, did not just come up with the idea that gender is infinite. And I had to go and find the rest of this interview to hear more about this story. And we'll check back in with Rosie O'Donnell, hear more about her daughter and this journey that she's been on as a non-binary child, apparently.
There's an amazing...
Just like people know they're gay.
Correct.
People know they're gay. Just like people know they're gay. Which is interesting because this is just the interviewer saying, well, I'm gay, and people just know they're gay. We talked about being born gay on this show. I won't get into that today, but he's inserting himself into it. Rosie O'Donnell is inserting herself into it, as she is a gay comedian, and she went through a massive point in her career where she did come out as a lesbian, and she's taking that experience that she had, which of course is valid experience, and projecting it onto a 10-year-old child who is coming to you and telling you that they are non-binary and want to be referred to as they, them. Not everything that a child says has to be listened to. Not every coming out of a new identity is wholly valid. And again, as a parent, it is your responsibility to keep your child safe with these things. But is that what Rosie O'Donnell has done? Let's keep watching and hear.
It's the same thing. It's no different than what we say.
Same thing, correct.
Yeah.
And I don't know where the journey's going to take them. I am supportive of any way that they want to be in this world and feel connected and happy.
this whole show is about different letters of the queer alphabet and discussing some of the questions that we can be nervous asking in public spaces, right?
Totally.
But I love where you're at now because you are a parent and we haven't had that perspective yet, talking about a non-binary child. And you as being a gay icon, quite honestly, so many people look to you for that. But to see that you are having, for lack of a better word, you had some confusion in the beginning about it as well. You struggle with the pronouns just like everyone else is. And the whole point is like, that's okay as long as you're doing everything with good intent.
And as long as you correct yourself, you know, and sometimes Clay will say to me, Mommy, I told you can start with Clay. And I said, I'm trying, babe. I'm so trying. The hardest thing to do was not call her baby girl.
Yeah.
Because that was my common way of, morning, baby girl, right? I would always say that. And she said to me about a year and a half ago, I don't like that.
Okay.
I'm not a girl and I'm not a boy. I said, okay, I understand. What she wants and every kid wants is to be heard and seen. And when your child tells you who they are, believe them. Believe them. And everywhere in the world, they face feeling like an outsider because they have a different operating system in their brain. And I just really wanted a safe place where every question is allowed and every answer gets discussed.
Being a mom, do you ever think about how your mom might have reacted to you coming out?
Okay, so you get it there. There's a projection of her own story onto her child, which is very clearly taking place in this video. And I want to emphasize the points where Rosie O Donnell says something valid. She says, your job as a parent is to make sure that your child is heard and seen. And guess what? I 100% agree with that. It is your job as a parent to make sure that your child is heard and seen, represented in your household, and to know that you are a safe haven for them to go to with their thoughts, their curiosities, their experimentation, everything that's going on in their brain. Because that's going to put you in the best position as a parent to guide them forward into life. To be heard and to be seen is not the same as validating every single identity that your child takes on. Every single time they say, I'm non-binary, I'm trans, I want to transition, that is not your job as a parent. And in fact, you can still have very healthy discussions with your child where they are heard, where they are seen, where they are validated in their feelings, but are not told that your feelings are representative of 100% truth or 100% reality or of everything that you need to do in your life going forward. And instead, what Rosie O Donnell did is said, okay, well, then you must be non-binary. I guess I'll start calling you by they, them, and we'll give you a new name. She went even as far as to tattoo they, them on her body. Rosie O Donnell now has a they, them tattoo on her body because she kept messing up her child's pronouns and wanted to have a constant reminder on her body. Now, a lot of people might hear that and think that is so sweet, that is so wonderful. What a great thing to do for your child that you validated them so much that you're willing to permanently place these pronouns on your body as a form of representation for them. What I think about this is how you have just pigeonholed your child into an identity where they must now go by they, them, essentially for the rest of their lives, or at least feel a pressure to go by they, them for the rest of their lives because you have it tattooed on your body. Instead of waiting to see if this is an identity that sticks for your 10-year-old? 10 years old. Think about where you were at 10 years old. I can't even remember what I was thinking at 10 years old, but it was probably, when's the next Disney original movie coming out so that I can watch High School Musical or whatever the hell was going on at the time. And instead, she gets her child's new they, them pronouns tattooed on her body permanently. It's so wild to me, and this is nothing new. And, you know, I wish people would recognize that this is an active pattern that is taking place. I'm going to read you a list of celebrities that have trans and non-binary children. And this is just a starter list. You can look up. There is way more. Now think about the concentration of trans and non-binary kids that now sit in Hollywood as I read this list to you. Angelina Jolie, Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union, Jamie Lee Curtis, Megan Fox, Marcia Gay Harden, who has, I think, like 3 differently identifying children, Elon Musk, Naomi Watts, Sigourney Weaver, Busy Phillips, Marlon Wayans, Jennifer Lopez, Ben Affleck, Jennifer Garner, Charlize Theron, Cher, all of these people now sit on a list of celebrities with trans and non-binary children. Now, what is it you think about Hollywood and Hollywood ideology that would lead to a non-binary or trans child? Is it the fact that they emphasize gender theory within Hollywood and within those spaces, and that Hollywood leans left? What is it about being the child of a mega celebrity and sitting in their shadow that would make you want to identify as trans and non-binary? Is it maybe to be unique in comparison to your mother or father, who is this larger than life figure who's constantly getting praise and attention, and you maybe not so much, and you want to sort of separate yourself from the identity of being the celebrity's child, and in doing so, and in calling yourself trans and non-binary, you fast-tracked your life to a point of being unique, to a point of standing out, and to a point of having an identity that is in no way associated with your celebrity parent? Could it be that? Could it be that it's really tough and tumultuous to grow up in a celebrity home? And when you couple that with the turbulence of adolescence, people are searching for something to create an identity for themselves, and they can't find it because in social media and in all these external forces that we're experiencing, you don't really have any way to go with identity, but you have a ton of people who are telling you about trans this and non-binary that. And as a kid, you grasp onto that as hard as you can. And you give that to your mom and dad, who are these huge celebrities, and then they can use it to make you an accessory. And it seems like that's what these celebrities do time and time again. They get this trans non-binary kid who they probably created through their ideology or through some other external force that they're not yet aware of. And then it's like a little purse that these celebrities carry around to say, look at how good I am. I tattooed they, them on my body to make sure I really get the pronouns right. Or look, my son wears a dress and I'm a cool mom and I don't care about gender roles, and I'm emphasizing that with my theybies, not babies. They are using these children as accessories. And instead of having a healthy response to a child that is struggling with their identity, which is to sit down and say, tell me more about that. Where did you get the idea of not being non-binary and wanting to call yourself Clay and having they, them pronouns, and not accepting the answer of, Mom, I just know that this is the reality? Dig a little deeper. Find out where this child is being influenced that they are non-binary and trans. Find out which part of their real identity that they are struggling with so hard that they feel the need to identify as trans and non-binary, and then you will find the root of the problem. And I can almost guarantee with 100% certainty, the root of the problem is probably not gender dysphoria. And that gender dysphoria is like a second stepping stone that starts from something else that is going wrong in this child's life, or some sort of failed influence that is now being received somewhere. I don't know if it's school. I don't know if it's TikTok. I don't know if it's entertainment. I don't know if it's the parent themselves. But the child has taken a misstep somewhere and needs to be validated and heard for what they're experiencing and the confusion that they're going through. But as you're doing that, guide them in the right direction. And 9 times out of 10, in fact, way more than that statistically, the right direction to guide them in is back to their biological sex. And still that child can be unique, still that child can have an identity, still that child can be special, still that child can step out of the shadow of the celebrity parent that they have, and they don't need the they, them pronouns. And you most definitely don't need to tattoo them on your body to give your child a constant reminder that if they ever feel they're not non-binary, well, mommy already got it tattooed. It says they, them. It just blows my mind. It blows my mind. And I want somebody to actually look into Hollywood and find the percentage of celebrities that have trans and non-binary children, because I feel like it outweighs the general population, with all these people who are consistently coming out and saying that their child, who's below the age of 15, is suddenly non-binary and trans, and it's on an upward trajectory, the likes of which we have not seen in Hollywood for quite some time. So what's happening socially now that all these Hollywood children and just children in general are choosing to come out as trans and non-binary at record rates? It's not like a natural phenomenon. It's not a naturally occurring thing. It's a social contagion. Now, what the root of it is, I do not know. But I would urge Rosie O'Donnell to investigate further with her daughter, because there is something else there. And I will call it now. And it probably won't happen because it seems like she's accepted non-binary for the 5 seconds that her daughter told her that gender is infinite, and I just know that. And that's a tragedy, a massive tragedy.